NHL picks live on PuckTime, WagerTalk TV, guys. It is Friday, April 24th, and that means one thing and one thing only. Playoff hockey returns to the Bell Center tonight. I got the jersey on, not usually a jersey guy for shows, but we're doing it today, and I am looking forward to a great slate of games. We've got 3 games to break down in the NHL playoffs, and on today's show, it's just myself, Andrew McInnis, and Carmine Bianco. Let's keep it rolling. A lot of you guys signed up with us with that hat trick BOGO special, the Puck Time special. You get my picks, you get Carm's picks for 3 days, and we smashed the 5% bet yesterday. And by smashed it, well, we hit it by 1 goal. But they don't ask how, they just ask if you did, and we won it. So I will, feel good about it. Move on. 8-1 run now with the 5% NHL plays. Carm, I'll go to you, man. Happy Friday, brother. Good to see you as always. As exciting as these playoffs have been, are we going to get like 3 sweeps in the playoffs here? What's the deal?
I hope not. The more games, the better. And congratulations on that 5% winner. I never got the text message, nor did Brian Leonard. And we were wondering who your 5% play was, and you didn't give it to us.
I told you the night before.
We could have paid our bar tab with it. He's in town for the next 3 or 4 days. So I got him all set up yesterday. Took him out for a quick bite, a couple of beers, but they have a long day today in Toronto. So I got them back to where they needed to be in time that they could watch the late game, not knowing what your 5% play was. But it's okay, Andrew. We get it. It's all right. Don't worry.
Keep it a secret.
Yeah. By the way, I have a 5% play loaded for tomorrow's NHL action. Obviously, really like it. That's why it's a 5, and we haven't lost a 5% in April. So let's get another one. But Andrew, man, you're sporting the jersey, so we need to talk about these 2 teams, Tampa Bay and the Montreal Canadiens. Game 3, both games go to OT in Tampa Bay. They split them. The Canadiens had the opportunity to put this Tampa Bay team, Andrew, in a deep hole, 2-0 heading on the road. But this is a series, Andrew, and I talked about it before. I think this is a series, and I want to hear your take on it, where I don't think home ice really makes a difference between these 2. They split them during the regular season, I believe, 2-2. These are the number 1 and number 2 ranked road teams in the Eastern Conference. Montreal had the best road record. Tampa Bay right behind them. Both teams ahead of Carolina, who ended up winning the division. So it tells you about these teams and their ability to win on the road. That's probably why I think Tampa, that and obviously playoff experience is why they are favored in this game. I think, Andrew, this is going to be a low-scoring game between these 2, much like the first couple were. I think Tampa are starting to get their legs in this series. But this Montreal team, when you expect them to play high-scoring games, especially at home at the Bell Center, they put in strong defensive performances. I think the under 6 is the play here. If you can't pick a side, or you're jumping back and forth on which team to pick, that should tell you something. Don't play the game. Don't play the side. Maybe play the total. So under 6 for me in this one. What are your thoughts?
Carm, I think that you might be able to get a good number live on that, even 6.5, because I think we could see something early in this game. Looking back to last year's playoffs, Cole Caulfield put out an article in the Players Tribune yesterday. Fantastic read. Cool to get a perspective from these players in an article. And he wrote the article before the playoffs started. But one thing that he mentioned is that this team is not the same team as they were last year in the playoffs. They are different. And to your point, Carm, and we had someone comment that I talk a lot about the last change, and I get it. It doesn't matter entirely, but for some series it might. But the only game that Montreal really found their offense against the Washington Capitals last year was Game 3. Game 1 and game 2, they were sort of close, but they lost. Game 4, they just got absolutely pinned down, dominated. But game 3 is where they were able to build off that Bell Center atmosphere. I was listening to a podcast last night, and they were talking about that you can benefit off the home ice advantage, but you can also kind of fall victim to getting too excited about it. And what does the road team want to do, Carm? The road team wants to silence the crowd as fast as they possibly can. So look, Dobish has been good. Vasi has been good. The defensive play has been good. But Suzuki and Caulfield have been shut down. So look, there's some people, like the guy commented yesterday, and I'm not even taking it as a negative comment. He just said that I talk a lot about last change stuff. My question back to that guy is, why do we think Suzuki and Caulfield haven't been able to do anything this series so far? And it's because they've been shut down by Anthony Cirelli. People don't realize in hockey how important the coaching staff and the decisions are. It's not like it's just you're rolling out lines and I get it from a market perspective. The last change doesn't matter as much, maybe because of the market adjusting for it, right? But there's a reason that Cole Caulfield scored 52 goals this year. Small player on the ice, has barely done anything in this series. There's no coincidence to me that the best players on each team typically do better at home than they do on the road, because there's a reason why Anthony Cirelli, Carm, was going to make the the Canadian Olympic team. And it's not because he's a great offensive forward. It's because he's a great defensive forward. So you give the last change to the Canadians. I feel like that makes a difference. So look, long-winded, I'm going to take the Canadians first period, and I'm going to take the over 1.5 first period here. I'm not saying the full game they win. I'm not saying the full game goes over 6 goals. I do think that first period has some pop to it. So I would love your thoughts, whether you're with me or not on that statement with the last change stuff. Maybe I overblow it sometimes, but for a series like this, nobody can deny, at least I don't think, that Caulfield should benefit off being back at home. Your thoughts?
Yeah, I think so. And even though a couple of guys in the chat don't like that I talk about XG, let's just completely eliminate analytics from the game and go back to just looking at the newspaper and saying Team A is first and Team B is third in the standing, so Team A has to win. That's handicapping in the 1960s or 1970s. Analytics are an important part of it. The thing is, Andrew, with the last changes, you can't chart it from an analytics point of view to see how much of a difference it makes in a game. But all you have to do is be a hockey fan and watch your team on the road, ice the puck a couple times, and then your 5 guys have been on the ice for like 90 plus seconds, and up comes over Connor McDavid, Landeskog, and a couple other players, because the Edmonton Oilers have the final change, and can put those guys who are just going to cycle the puck and give you an opportunity. It's like a power play, essentially. So you have to look at the last change is important. You just can't. There's just no way of tracking it, Andrew. We know that in order to apply it to the metrics of the game, be it XG or HDC or scoring chances or any of the other ones that people use. So we know it's important. We're never going to convince other people it's important. It's just part of the game. So with that said, there was another comment in there, Andrew, before we get to, because none of these games that we're discussing tonight have 3-0 series leads. But I believe it might have been Stevie Dukes who said the series isn't over yet. The Pittsburgh series for tomorrow, Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, because it's 3-0 in the series. NHL is actually one of the tougher models, or one of the toughest sports to come back from a 3-0 deficit in a 7-game series. It has only happened 4 times in over 200 plus scenarios. So that's like 2% of the time that this has actually happened. But the 1942 Leafs came back from 3-0 down. The 1975 New York Islanders in the quarterfinals came back to beat the Pittsburgh Penguins. The 2010 Philadelphia Flyers came back to beat the Boston Bruins. And in 2014, well over 10 years ago, we're at almost 12 years ago, the LA Kings came back and defeated the San Jose Sharks after falling behind 3-0 in the series. 4 times, guys. 4 times. It's all it's ever happened in the NHL. Penguins fans, can you be the 5th starting tomorrow? Who knows? But 3-0 deficits show the superiority of a team, Andrew. So with that said, do we have a Ralph Michaels stat that we can toss up? I think we do. Let me find it here. There it is. Oops. Sorry, Andrew. All right. There's a fade or follow stat for you guys. 3-0 teams that are at home, and this is applicable to the Philadelphia Flyers tomorrow, are 13-9 with an average line at about minus 134. So they're hitting at 59%, and you can make a little bit of profit if you've been betting them. The over-under is 9-11-2, pretty much negligible on that one. If it was a 3-0 team playing away, which we could see if the Avalanche, Andrew, win a game 3 and then game 4 in LA, the over is 15-10 and to 60% to the over in game 4. Up 3-0. Andrew, do you know why that is?
Empty net goals.
Empty net goals is the correct answer. Empty net goals, because whether they're down the dreaded 4-1, 4-1, 5-1, they're pulling their goalie with 4 or 5 minutes left. Who cares if you lose 7-1? You're looking to get back in the game. So with that said, I would look to that trend over the next little while with the 3-0 teams at home and 3-0 teams away.
And speaking of that, Carm, I was just absolutely disgusted and shocked with as much as I was happy last night with my over that I got the empty net goal. I couldn't believe how long it took the LA Kings to pull their goalie. It's like, what are you scared of? What are you scared of? You're already down and losing the game. Like, what's your biggest fear? And then they finally pull the goalie, and they get scored on immediately. I think, you know how sometimes they like to circle the puck back by their own goalie and then let their goalie go, and then they keep the puck. The best time to pull the goalie is when you're already in the offensive zone. Like, they waited until the puck was out of the zone, and they pulled the goalie. Yeah. Like, I know we laugh at John Cooper and Patrick Waugh and these coaches for pulling the goalie too early, but Carm, there's something to be said about teams that pull the goalie too late as well.
Yeah, I don't get it either, but this is why we're doing what we're doing and they're doing what they're doing and getting paid a hell of a lot more money. But yeah, it is. And you wonder if your mentality and when you're watching the game and getting frustrated on when the goalies are getting pulled or when they're not getting pulled based on what your bet is, whether it's a side, whether it's a total, whether over under, or you have the puck line in a game. You get frustrated because you want that goalie pulled. Like you said, when your team has the puck and they're moving into the offensive zone. A lot of coaches like to wait until it's been dumped in or they establish possession in the O zone before they'll pull a goalie. I'm not a fan of that, but I'm not a coach again. And these guys get paid so much more money. But as a fan, it's frustrating. I absolutely get where you're coming from with that. Vegas is in the playoffs, and Brian Leonard decides to come to Canada instead. Is that a sign, Andrew, that he has no faith in the Vegas Golden Knights?
He leaves town
against Utah.
He leaves town. Kind of interesting.
I know, he leaves town. Oh, wrong stat for me. I'm bad with these things. There we go. Minus 114 on the Vegas Golden Knights, minus 106 on the Utah Mammoth. Both Brian and I did think Utah were going to win game 2, and they got it done. Do the Golden Knights, Andrew, regain home ice advantage tonight, or does this dream season for the Utah Mammoth continue?
Well, it's interesting. I didn't mention this before, Carm, but in the Montreal series, Tampa Bay opened minus 136. They're now minus 115. Vegas opened minus 117, 120-ish. This has turned into practically a pick 'em here. So some of these home teams are getting some love. Only team really that hasn't seen a ton of money come the other way is Anaheim. We'll get to that one, but we can talk more about that one. But when you look at this game here, I think Utah gave it their best effort. Utah played the best possible game they could have played in that last one. It was still a real tight one, but I feel like Utah didn't try to play how Vegas plays. They played how they play. And it sounds funny saying this, but if you're playing anything to do with Utah, you just got to take shots on goal props for two guys, Dylan Guenther and Logan Cooley. I mean, Dylan Guenther had, I think, like 7 shots on goal. At least it felt like he did. He gets 2 goals in the game. Logan Cooley, only a young player playing with a ton of confidence. He's playing extremely well. I think Utah stands a chance here, Carm. I think Utah's right into it. The only thing that I will say is that it feels to me, as much as, remember, that we used to call Vegas the Fortress and great home ice team. Historically, they've actually been pretty good on the playoffs in these game 3s. So I don't know, maybe this veteran-built team, whatever it is about them, they can go out on the road. But I have a feeling this one could be an under. This, to me, is my under of the day. I get it. If I care about last changes, I should like Utah to find their offense because they're at home now. But I do think we're going to see just a really structured defensive game. Perlow coming in here with a great play. He mentions, I'll get behind this one. I like this one too. Carter Hart over 23.5 saves. Utah should get their shots, but I lean towards the under 5.5 here. What do you think about any total side props? What do you have?
I think Carter Hart gets chased from the game after allowing 3 goals in the first period of today's game. If the Vegas Golden Knights don't find a way to at least change what happened in game 2, because in game 2, regardless of the scoreline only being 3-2, it was a complete reversal of analytics in that one. Game 1, it was all Vegas sort of dominated, whether it was XG, whether it was high danger chances, scoring chances, and even like the metric of, like, if you want to look at like shots on goal or what have you. But you look at game 2, complete flip around on this one, 4.11 to 2.45 in all situations for the Mammoth in that one. It goes, you look at the high danger chances, and like even high danger chances, game 1 had 15 of them. Game 2 had 21 of them, 12 of them belonging to Utah. Utah's skating at Vegas. If they can do that on home ice with the final change, we'll toss that one in there. It'll become the new tagline of the show, with the final change. But with the final change, Andrew, I think Utah wins game 3. I'm still not sold, as much as a lot of people like the Vegas Golden Knights. I'm still not sold on what Tortorella did to the team. I think the same thing would have happened if Cassidy was still there. Tortorella had an easy schedule to close out the season for him with the Vegas Golden Knights, and I think playing 6 or 7 games against the same team, a team that knows you and a team that plays well against you in the Utah Mammoth, that the Mammoth have a very good chance of winning this series, Andrew. I think they proved in the first 2 games of the series. And if they win game 3, this is a monster game. Win game 3, all the pressure is on the Vegas Golden Knights in game 4 to avoid going down 3-1.
And one thing we can say is that they've proved they belong. They have proven that they belong. There's no fear with this team. They know that they're right there with them.
It's a season of no other. I had to get it in this show. A season like no other. It's fascinating. Who would have thought? Buffalo Sabres up 2-1 in their series. I'm pretty happy. You're looking for your Habs to go up 2-1 in the series tonight. There's no way our dear Lord is going to give us a Montreal Buffalo next round of the playoffs, because he's been looking at my. No, he's been looking at my. No. No, the dear Lord looked at my Visa, MasterCard, and my Amex statements that have come in and said, no, I can't let that series happen because you're just going to spend frivolously. And that's what I tend to do.
My Amex will be buying me a flight to Montreal and Buffalo, and you and Don Buster will be going with me. So we'll see. I told Buster, though, me and him are going to Montreal together 1,000% if they move on, because I've got my trip coming up in a few days. I just took out euros, and, well, as much as I love where I am right now, Carm, as you know, it's like 1.7 on the dollars to get the euro exchange.
Yes.
So
yes,
it's a little bit tough.
Traveling through Italy last year, I know exactly how bad the Canadian dollar is to the euro. Even the American is somewhat close to it, but the euro.
At least the wine is cheap. The wine is cheap.
Okay, so what's your play on this game?
So under 5.5 for me, under 5.5 goals. I like the under here. I think we see a tight battle. First period should tell us a lot. Look, I respect Utah. I feel like they've proven it to themselves, but I'm a little bit worried here because, Vegas has been a pretty good game 3 team overall. But again, it's got to be somebody besides Genther. It's got to be somebody besides Cooley. They got to have some supporting cast step up a little bit. Habs Relic mentions Barbashev and Stone Point plus 165. I think we'll look at 2-player props for me. We're going to go with Nick Schmaltz, anytime assist, underrated playmaker, I believe. And we're going to go Mitch Marner goal. Marner's mostly a playmaker. I think on this team, you get value on his goal scoring ability.
The curse of Mitch Marner.
If they lose the first round, is it his fault?
No, it's no one player's fault in the NHL. And I know people love to heap stuff on goaltenders when they don't play well. And then when they do play well, the narrative changes to, well, the team in front of them, scored 5 goals and helped them out. No, it goes both ways. If you don't play defense for a guy, you're going to get lit up. The Oilers didn't play very well defense at Andrew in game 2 against and specialty teams ruled 2 power play goals for the Ducks. And we're going to talk about that game now. 2 power play goals for the Ducks, 1 shorthanded, 1 empty netter. And the Oilers were never really in that game. So with that said, Andrew, minus 133 tonight on the Edmonton Oilers. If you like them to regain home ice advantage, Ducks plus 110 at home. And there you go. There's the total you've all been waiting for. The 7 is out because these teams haven't figured out that defense rules in the NHL, or they haven't been watching the Ottawa-Carolina series. So with that said, where are you going in this game, Andrew?
Yeah, it's hilarious. Like, you watch other series, Carm, and it's like these teams hate each other. Montreal and Tampa, they're destroying each other. Buffalo and Boston destroying each other. And then you watch these teams, it's like there's a non-contact league, and they're playing pond hockey out there on Lake Erie, and they're saying 1st to 6 goals wins. Good luck to you, because that's what this game's going to be like. Both teams go over their team totals. Both teams are hitting, getting their goals in the first period. But now here's a 7. And I'm just going to throw this out there, and I promise you guys, I'm not trying to be the contrarian guy when I say this, but it's happened so many times when we've seen a team go on an insane 6.5 overrun, and the second the books put it to 7, it goes under. Like, we had stats before from Ralph Michaels about this. It is unexplainable, and a lot of times, guys, your 7s will just give you a push. You're going to watch a 2.5-hour hockey game, and the game is going to end 5-2 or 4-3. You're asking for 8 goals, not for 7 goals now, which is tough. First period, both teams to score. It's happened in both games so far. It's now plus 135. That one is a bit intriguing for me, Carm. I think that, look, whether or not the full game goes over or not, to be able to find a way to get plus money on both teams to score in the first period doesn't really shock me whatsoever. Look, Connor McDavid, brutal turnover from him late in the game, Carm. He has not been himself. And to be honest, Draisaitl has been much better than him. And maybe something has to do with the fact that Draisaitl got all that rest. But I look forward to seeing what happens here. There's one player that sticks out to me for this game tonight. I'll mention him in just a few moments. But what do you think about the opener in this one here, Carm? Because right now, Edmonton, look at the odds logic line screen here. They open minus 137. Series is tied 1-1. And, we've got some pretty spot on sports books, 130, 133, 134. Not too much hit on the comeback there for Anaheim. The books are begging people for Anaheim money here. They're saying, hey, guys, the series is 1-1. You can get Anaheim Ducks at plus money at home. What do you think, Carm? Are you going to take it?
I don't know. I think the Oilers are the better team. I know they're the better team. It's just a matter of how Game 3 plays, how Anaheim plays off of that win. I don't think it was a convincing win by any means or any stretch of the imagination. I think the Oilers, just from a specialty team's perspective, played horrible. You know what I mean? Like of those 6 goals, only 2 of them were 5-on-5 goals. Again, so 5-on-5, they're fine, but don't take penalties because the Ducks and teams, when they find their power play, can score goals. And by the same means, when teams can't score in the power play, and I saw yesterday when talking to Brian, we're having a beer watching the Sabres game, and it's like, well, the Sabres power play is now 0 for 36 straight attempts without scoring a power play goal, and 13 or 14 of them in the playoffs. It is tough. Andrew, my prediction on the scoreline for this game, and are you ready? Here it is. The final scoreline of this game will be 6-1, and that is paying 55-1 odds on the final score of this game being 6-1. So, how do you like them apples?
You're looking for a complete difference from games 1 to 2. I love it. Our games 1 and 2 to 3.
6-1 lands on 7. So there you go.
And we get the push.
Absolutely good. Absolutely good sense. No one's pulling their goalie at the end of the game when they're down 6-1. So the total should be safe, at least at a push. But I expect a bounce back from the Oilers tonight. Is it going to be enough to get them to win? I think they need to take it to Anaheim early, or at least be ready for the opening 20 minutes of a game. We've seen teams that aren't ready for the first 20 minutes of a game and play absolutely abysmal. The Buffalo Sabres, in splitting 2 games with the Boston Bruins, did not play good not only in the opening 20, but in the opening 40. I was certain they were going to put in one of their best performances on the ice last night against the Bruins in the opening 2 periods, and they really did, and held on and won that game, even though they went behind 1-0 in that game. They ended up getting the win. So it's one of those things. I expect the Oilers to be better. Would I be shocked if they aren't tonight? No, I wouldn't, because the series is still only 1-1, and they're probably coming to Anaheim thinking 1-1 at the minimum is what we want. A 2-0 sweep is what we'd love, and come home and we get the Andrew McInnis gentleman's handshake.
The gentleman's sweep, yeah. Steve, I love you. I always appreciate the comments. I am going to rebuttal this one. Steve says, hey, y'all, Ducks won more games this year than the Oilers. Loser points is how the Oilers are higher seed. You want to know why the Oilers are the higher seed? Because they won 32 games in regulation. The Ducks won 26 games in regulation. The Ducks are the better 3-on-3 team. The Ducks are the better shootout team. The NHL cares about regulation wins when it comes to their ties and their tiebreakers. And of course, yes, the Oilers did get some loser points, but hey, maybe they wouldn't have got those losses if it wasn't 3-on-3, because 3-on-3 isn't hockey. And yes, the United States won the gold medal game. No hockey game of any magnitude should be decided with 3-on-3 goals. 3-on-3 hockey. It's not the game. In the NBA, and when it's in overtime, do they just start playing pickup basketball, half court, 3-on-3? I don't think they do. They just play 5-on-5 like the game is built to be played. So to me, that's why the Oilers were the higher seed, is because they won more games in regulation. We're talking 32 against 26 in regulation. So, Carm, I'm a big fan of the regulation stuff, man. And, you got to be able to win within 60 during the regular season.
Yeah, and that's the thing is you want the team that's winning in regulation instead of the team that is relying on coin flips, and the coin flips essentially being games that go to OT that are 3-on-3, where one defensive mistake where you come off your player for even a split second, or even a shootout, which is a shooting competition. It's Andrew, different sports have it, and it all depends on who you're on that day. You know what I mean? I absolutely hate penalty shootouts in soccer, European soccer, or European football, or soccer here in North America, because it's a skills competition. But when Italy won the 2010 Euros, beating England in penalty kicks, I was ecstatic. When they beat France, the last year, like, my dad was alive, and I got him to watch as many all the games that he could. Andrew, they beat France in penalty kicks. So these things, when you're on the right end of it, it's good. When you're on the wrong end of it, you don't like it. But that's 100%. Why teams like Colorado prosper. Colorado, 48 regulation wins. Dallas Stars, 38 regulation wins. So yeah, I get it. The Edmonton Oilers, 32. When they go to OT, they've had 20 games in OT, and they've won 9 and lost 11 of them. You look at Anaheim. As you mentioned, 23 games they had in overtime. They won 17 of them, either via the 3-on-3 goal or a shootout. So something could be said about the Ducks winning the skills competition in the NHL and not regulation wins. Regulation wins is the best barometer, I think, for a very good team. I think to a certain point, you don't look at what happens in regulation. In OT or in a shootout, and try and handicap a team because of that. You're handicapping full games. Sometimes you're only handicapping 60 minutes. But to say that a team is not better than another team just because the other team is better at 3-on-3. And when we're talking about 3-on-3, because someone mentioned, how is Anaheim better at 3-on-3? We're not talking about each other. We're talking about 3-on-3 throughout the regular season. So they're not playing against each other 3-on-3 for 82 games, maybe only a couple games. So,
and one thing I'll mention, it continues to blow my mind, and I think I touched on this earlier. It just doesn't make any sense how the Avalanche power play is so bad. It's crazy. It reminds me of Canada at the Olympics. Like, sometimes I feel like you have so much talent out there, you're passing the puck around like it's a hot potato. Somebody shoot the puck. Somebody please shoot the puck on the net. Like, I never am usually that fan, but it's like, just because you have so much talent, it doesn't mean you have to make 85,000 passes before you can shoot the puck on the net. It's unbelievable how this team has so much skill, and they have such a bad power play. It might end up costing them a Stanley Cup.
Yeah. And here's one for the chat. Since we have a little bit of time, you guys can answer this question. Here's one for the chat. You have a bet on a team, the Edmonton Oilers, or even the Colorado Avalanche. Now, at the start of overtime, your book is offering you 100% of your money back, your bet back. Do you take it if they announce that Connor McDavid or Nate McKinnon will not be playing in the 3-on-3 overtime? They're injured. Would you cash out of your bet if you knew that McDavid or McKinnon wasn't on the ice for the whole 5 minutes? I'm going to guess that if we had a poll, an anonymous poll, 70% or more cash out their bet because of one player. So when someone says a collective of the Oilers are the better team or better than anybody 3-on-3. They're referencing the Oilers because of Connor McDavid. When they say the Colorado Avalanche are one of the best 3-on-3 teams, if they get there, because they win most of their games in regulation, if Nate McKinnon is in there or Cale Makar is in there, are they still the best team? So it is not the franchise as a whole, but the first two lines on certain teams can score goals for you. But if they're not in the lineup, how many people are cashing out? And I'm going to say,
I agree,
70%.
and that's why 5-on-5 is so important. And I think that overall, you look at all the past Stanley Cup winners, every single past Stanley Cup winning team, and that's why, look, as much as me and you make jokes about the Maple Leafs, the fact is that they haven't had a lot of help in their runs. Besides the big four guys, Dubas and Treliving never gave them a good bottom six. And you've got Perlow in here talking about the Oilers' bottom six. You need to have help. You know, you look across the board for the Florida Panthers or for the Golden Knights or for the Avalanche or for Lightning or some of these teams that have won the Cup recently. They all have depth. They all have so much talent. So, and speaking of depth and speaking of talent here, Carm, we got to move on, and I'll give you this pick right here. I don't know why my graphics are coming out so small right now, but Vasily Podkolzin, he's got a point at least in both games so far. In fact, I believe he has 3 or 4 points so far in the playoffs, and I know that because I have him in my fantasy playoff team. Guy's been fantastic. Guy's been on the same line as Leon Draisaitl, but you got to try and, get the spaghetti strainer out and figure out, okay, who am I going to use? Who am I going to get good odds on? Not going to get good odds on Hyman. Not going to get good odds on McDavid or Draisaitl or Bouchard. You got to find this guy here, and his name is Vasily Podkolzin, number 92. Anytime point plus 100. Guys, best bet up for me in the NHL for tonight. It's a 4% play. We also have 2 player props for today, so 3 plays total. We're off that 5% winner last night. Happy to have that one. 8-1, 5% run. For myself and Carmine, get the PuckTime special. 3 days for all 3 of our plays. And yes, for the person that complained before, this actually works for both of us. You buy the package and you are going to get all the plays from the both of us in this package for 3 days. Carm, over to you, brother.
Man, I didn't ask for the BOGO with you. I asked it for Buster and I. But anyways, I'm going to see Buster this weekend. Somehow the guy has pushed his way into our suite at the Blue Jay game. I don't know how he did it without my approval because I'm paying for half of that box. But somehow he squeezed his way in into a imagine, Andrew, the whole box is a couples day at the game, and a single guy or a single married guy who's not bringing his wife decides to just push his way in. I don't know. That's Don Buster. So hopefully he understands it's a cash bar and it's not an open bar. But what do you got to say, Andrew, before I close this out? Oh, okay. Anyways, with that said, guys, I'm making fun of Buster, but we're just looking for any more questions and avocados and tequila. Yes, let's hope he's bringing some of each. And looking forward to seeing Buster on Saturday at the Blue Jays game as they take on the Cleveland Guardians. We'll be live streaming some stuff there, so check out the X for myself and for Don Buster as well too. Guys, 2 plays up in the NHL tonight, 1 play up for tomorrow, which is a 5% play. So pick up that BOGO. It is a very good deal as well too. And my soccer players are going up shortly. It's going to be a big card of soccer as well too. And a couple of baseball plays tossed in there. So the 3-day gets you another 3 days. All access is a good deal as well too. That's it, guys. For myself, Andrew McInnis, I'm going to see Brian Leonard as he spends his good US dollars in the Canadian city that we call Toronto. And we wish you guys all the best of luck. We will see you again on Monday.